Greetings, Gems and Gents. My name is Ebony and welcome back to Glameres Gems. This video, if you have not read by the title, is very different from what I normally put out on the channel. And the channel is going in a different direction this year, and I will be making an official announcement very soon, very soon. But if you've read by the title, I am going to be sharing with you an angel encounter or a few angel encounters over the period of time. So in this video, I'll share two stories. And they're also up on my TikTok if you want the short form version of it. But nonetheless, this is my Monday motivation. So the channel does have structure now. So every Monday, I'm gonna do a Monday motivation for you, and it will publish on Monday, even if it's late Monday, before 12 p.m. Eastern time, it'll publish, okay? Or 12 a.m. Eastern time, it'll publish for you. So when I initially created this channel, I just want to kind of give you all a baseline of the channel. When I initially created this channel, I was trying to think of a name for the channel, what the channel would represent. And the name that God gave me was Glameres Gems. I'm a believer of God. Jesus, he is the head of my life. He is my provider, my healer. He is my best friend. He has been there for me through all walks of my life. And I have to acknowledge him on this platform because he gave me this channel. And I want to share with you how good God has been to me, how good Jesus has been there for me to protect me and keep me comforted, keep me safe, you know, been my shoulder to lean on, just everything that he has been. And I feel like with the channel, I've been so caught up on creating plus size fashion and all of these different kinds of contents. And granted, they do well, and I'm still going to continue to do my plus size fashion. But again, it's going to be structured. So it's not going to be just randomly I'm posting here and there. You all will know in due time the days that I post fashion, motivation, and whatnot. I'm going to do a full update on the channel. Excuse my chair if it's squeaking. Y'all know I'm plus size, okay? But anyhow, no. God gave me a vision, and I'm not going to get into the vision. It's very sacred, and I've told a few people, but it's just something that I'm keeping sacred to myself. And within this vision, Glameres Gems was birthed. Glameres Gems represents glamorous gems. Gems is the woman, the virtue, morals, beliefs, just who you are as a person, holding true to your faith, your integrity, your morals. That's what gems represent. When you think of a diamond, you have to dig for diamonds. When you think of pearls, they're in the bottom of the ocean. So these things cannot easily be acquired. So that's what gems represents. Glamorous is all of the things or the essence of, you know, glamour, beauty, fashion, skincare, all of that. So I incorporated the two names together to get Glameres Gems. However, I haven't really dived deep into the vision behind the channel. And I don't care if this video gets 1 view, 1,000 views, whatever. I am going to speak up. So from the beginning of this year, I have really been getting back into my faith. I had a little bit of church hurt, and I will discuss that with you all. I experienced some things that kind of made me look at people a certain way in a church setting that I just felt like, wow, I don't even want to deal with this. So it kind of strayed me a little bit, but I'm back on track. I'm back focused. No, I'm not perfect. No, I'm not coming on here to make it like I'm perfect or make like I'm better than anyone or I'm holier than thou. I am just here as a vessel to share the experiences that I've been through and express who Jesus is to me and just what I've been through in life. So I had to give you all a baseline so that way everything can make sense on what we're going to be getting into. So at the beginning of this year, I decided, you know what, I really want to get on one accord because I watch different TikToks, I see different commercials, I get up sometimes at 3 a.m. and, you know, it's just so many signs that God has been trying to get my attention, like as clear as day, like Ebony, it's time for you to get on track and focus. And he's been trying to get my attention in so many ways, like it's crazy. And then when I started getting back into church, all of these were kind of confirmed for me. Like all of the things that he's been trying to get me to do have been confirmed. So everything as far as my business, everything as far as just being on one accord has been confirmed. So I've heard a few words this year that have been sticking out to me. Speak up and suddenly. So God is wanting me to speak to you all and tell you all different things that I've experienced, because he knows it's going to help someone. And I don't care if I help 1,000 people, one person. I want to share the story. Some of my close friends know about them and some of them don't. So I'm going to just jump into it. And then the second word that I've been hearing was suddenly. And suddenly is just more so sudden blessings. You know, a blessing is not always something that's monetary. It's not always something that is materialistic that you could touch or feel. Sometimes a blessing is just God woke me up this morning, or I made it back home from work. There are people that have gone to work and never made it home. You never know what the blessing is or how it's coming, how it's wrapped for you. But there's blessings that are given to us each day, mercies that are given to us each day. So I'm not going to be too preachy, but I just wanted to share that. So let's get into it. So I want to share with you all some angel encounters that I have experienced over my life. I think my very first angel encounter was the day that I was born. That's a little bit more of an intense story, so I'm going to save that for another video. But I'm going to give you 2 angel encounters that I have encountered. So it was around 2012. I was working in a department store called Dillard's, and I used to work in the jewelry department. And I really wanted to work in the cosmetics department because I've always been into makeup and beauty, but somehow they placed me in jewelry. So this particular day, it was a Saturday, I was having a bad day. My contacts that I wear, they were dried out and it was starting to give me a headache, and I just was having a rough day. You know, when your contacts aren't intact, you can't really see clear, your vision is kind of blurred, and you know, it's just a whole lot going on. But I knew I had to stay at work all day because I gotta get paid. So I see this elderly lady. She had to have been between the ages of 70 to 75. She was very petite, so she had to have been like maybe, I don't know, I'm 5'4", so maybe she was like right at five foot. I don't know. She was a little bit shorter than me. And I remember she had like snow white hair and it was pinned up in a swirl. It was so neatly done, might I add, but it was pinned up in a nice swirl. She had on white pants and a royal purple top. I'll never forget. And she had like a little trolley that she was toting around the department store, and it was a big iMac computer and from Apple. So I was thinking at first, I was like, okay. So she walks up to me because I'm just standing in the hallway like greeting customers. And she says to me, do you think you can hold my computer for me while I go to the bathroom? So I'm thinking like, why would I want to do that? You know, like I was thinking more so along the lines like, okay, like I wasn't going to tell her no, obviously. So I was like, okay. But in my mind, I was thinking like, you know, that's kind of weird. Or what if she doesn't come back and I'm just stuck with a computer? Or why is she, you know, elderly walking around with this, you know, computer? So logically, as I prep the story for you, she's elderly between the ages of 70 to 75. She's petite and small. So you just left the Apple store. You bought this big iMac computer and no one in the store thought to help this elderly lady out to her car. I mean, it's strange. The math was not mathing, okay? So nonetheless, I'm holding it for her. So I'm supposed to be working, but I'm holding it for her like, okay, girl, you know, when you coming back, you know? So I'm holding the computer for her, just waiting for her to come back. And she comes back and she was like, thank you so much, you know, for holding the computer. I really do appreciate it. So it's like, okay, no worries. And then she went on to ask me, she was like, so how is your day going? You know, how is your day going? And I was like, I'm not really having a good day today. My contact lenses, you know, they're kind of irritating me today. I have a headache and I'm just ready to go home. So she says to me, I have something for you. So I'm thinking, you know, you got contact solution? Like, girl, you know, I'm like, goodness. But it's so funny how our minds, we can just be, I don't know, like immediately I'm just thinking she's got contact solution. You know, she can help me out. So she pulls out this penny and the penny was just so beat up. It wasn't dirty, but it was just, Okay, when I say it wasn't dirty, meaning like when I held the penny or when I touched the penny, it didn't have like dirt or sand or anything on there, but it was like a dirty, rusty penny. It wasn't a pretty penny, rather. It was like a raggedy penny. So she was like, I want to say a prayer for you. So she gives me this penny and she puts the penny in my left palm. And I believe it was my left palm because she was standing directly in front of me. And I think she put it in the hand opposite of, you know, like that would have made sense, that hand. So I close my hand and she says, I want to say a prayer for you. Now keep in mind, I'm at work. Number two, she's elderly holding this big computer. And we're just here in the hallway and I'm like, okay, this is just so strange. But normally I wouldn't even feel comfortable with letting a stranger pray for me because I don't know who you're praying to. Like there's so many people that say God, you know, or God, but you don't really know who their God is. Like my God, who I believe in and who I worship, is Jesus Christ, because the only way that I can get to God is through Jesus. So that's who I believe in, but different people have different gods that they believe in and that they worship. So I'm not always comfortable with just letting somebody randomly pray for me, because I don't know if you're praying for me or if you're praying on me. You know, it's two different things. So long story short, something just came over me and I was like, you know, I'll let her say her prayer. So she prayed for me. She was praying for me, you know, I have health, prosperity, wealth, anything that I'm going through. She was praying that, you know, I will get, you know, through it and I will be okay. And, you know, I'm not going to get into everything that she said, but as she was praying for me, I began to sob because I just felt the presence of God, you know, while she's praying for me. Honestly, if I'm being completely transparent, when she prayed for me, it seemed as though it was just her and I there. It was no one else around. All sound went away. It was just, we were in tune with one another. So I was so caught up in the spirit and just her praying for me. And I kept on thinking in my mind, like, I cannot believe this lady is just praying for me. And the reason I felt that way is because it's Georgia. She's an elderly Caucasian woman, and I'm not a racist by no means, but it's just weird when you think about blacks versus whites. I mean, it's just, I don't know. It's just very weird. In Atlanta, you don't really see it as much as you do in the South, where I was living in the South, because they're more overt down there. But, you know, it was just, I just couldn't believe it. Like, I was just like, I can't believe this lady is just praying for me like this. So the prayer ended, you know, I was sobbing, and I guess the tears from my eyes kind of moisturized my contacts. I don't know. But eventually, you know, I was fine for the rest of the day. My headache eventually subsiding. So she and I hugged, and I was like, you know, thank you so much for praying for me. You know, God bless you. I pray that God will bless you, you know, for praying for me. And, you know, it was just such a nice thing. So I'm so caught up in the spirit. So she leaves, you know. Now keep in mind what I said from the beginning. No one from the Apple store offered to help this lady to her car, to help her put her computer in her car. She's elderly. Somebody's got to help her put her computer in her car. It's a big iMac computer. So then here I go. I'm so caught up on the prayer that I don't even offer to help her to her car. So I'm like, I gotta run and tell somebody this. So my coworker, which was like my BFF at work, I'm like, oh my goodness, this lady just prayed for me. Like, let me show you this lady. Now I'm gonna set up the scene. In the jewelry section at Dillard's, right? You have the hallway where I was standing. You have the jewelry cases here. But it's a door right here. It's a glass door that opens, and that's the parking lot. So I was right here. She would have been in the parking lot. Keep in mind, she's elderly. Again, she's got a big computer. She can't be walking extremely fast. And, you know, I mean, come on, she was gone, y'all. By the time it took me about 2 seconds to get my coworker to show this lady who prayed for me, she was gone. Now, logically, we think she would have at least been trying to, or struggling with, getting her computer in the car. I don't know what the computer itself represented or what it was symbolic of. I know that the penny was symbolic of, you know, how angels, they say angels drop pennies from the sky as, you know, wealth, or I don't know, I'll put it on the screen if I can find it, but I know that that was symbolic of wealth and prosperity. I remember my mama even told me as a young child not to ever throw away pennies. So I know that they're symbolic of something spiritually. But yeah, I don't really know what the computer was symbolized. And also, they say if you ever have encounters like this, try to remember their name, try to remember the time or the date, because those are symbolic of maybe scriptures that God is trying to get you to read later on, or, you know, convey the message to someone else. So I didn't remember any of that. I was so caught up in the moment that I just remember, I knew it was in the spring though. It had to have been around maybe April or March that this occurred. But yeah, it was definitely in the spring. But yeah, she was gone. So in that moment, when she left, I knew she was an angel. Like, I knew she was there specifically with a message for me. So I say all of that to say, and I was thinking I was going to tell you the other story, but I'm just going to break it up in segments so that way I can kind of spread it out for you all. But I say all of that to say, everything that she prayed for me at that particular time was relative to what I was going through. And sometimes in life, we may feel hopeless, or we may feel in despair, like it's no way out of our situation, you know. And I feel like so many people are fearful of, you know, having a relationship with God because they're fearful of the lifestyle change. They're fearful of, you know, what they've been told about him and different things that can happen. And God is a God of order. He's a God of truth. So everything that you want to seek out from him, the word is there and the word remains. However, God is a God of love. And I just want to share these stories to let you know that if you've never encountered him, because the reason why my faith is so strong is because I have physically encountered him. But a lot of us have a spirit of Thomas. Thomas was one of God's disciples, where he didn't even believe that Jesus had risen from the dead, even when Jesus was in front of him, showing him the palms of his hands with the holes in there. Could you imagine? We're expected as people to believe that Jesus is real, and we've never seen him. Thomas physically saw him and still didn't believe until Jesus showed him the holes in his hands. So a lot of us have the spirit of Thomas, where we have to see it in order to believe it. But in my case, in my experience, I've personally experienced God and encountered him. So that's why I believe Jesus is going to come to you, so that way you know who he is in multiple different ways. It could be from this YouTube video. It could be from a TikTok video. It could be from an encounter like what I had. And not every encounter that you have with people is going to be maybe an angel. It could just be a messenger, which that's what angel means anyway, a messenger. An angel is a messenger of God. So you never know where the message is coming from or who it's coming from. But the point that I'm making is that God is with us all the times. He is omnipresent, meaning that he is everywhere at once. So at the end of the day, I just hope that this bless someone to let you know that no matter what you're going through right now, you are not alone. God is with you. And even though you may not feel his presence, you may not hear him, he's there. You know, when we are born into this life, I don't know if you ever see babies, and sometimes babies are looking up at the ceiling or they're cooing. They can hear the angels and they can hear God, and they know that he's there. But as we grow and we get older, we start getting more in tune with the world. So you start paying attention to police sirens and ambulances, and we can pay attention to things on the television. So it can sometimes get a little bit harder to hear him there because we're so distracted by worldly things, but he's still there. He's still talking to us just as he did when we were babies and we only knew him. So I'm not trying to get too deep into it, but I have so many of these encounters, so many that I want to share with you all. I will be sharing, and I'm going to be doing these in segments for my Monday motivations, just to encourage and inspire you. And of course, stay tuned for next week. Next week, I'm going to share my near-death experience when I was 17, which was, again, another angel encounter. And yeah, definitely don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Leave comments below. letting me know if you've had any angel encounters or anything you want to discuss with me. I also have an email if you want to personally message me. It's called GATHERWITHGEMS. I will go ahead and put it here, gatherwithgems@gmail.com. You can send me an email there. You can say, hey, I want to be anonymous. Please talk about this. And I'll go ahead and make sure that I can do that and mention it in the next video, or just state my piece before we get into what the subject's going to be about. That way it can be interactive and engaging. But yes, I definitely wanted to open up and speak. This is what God is asking me to do, and I want to be obedient this year. So God bless you all. I know, again, it's very different from what I normally do, but I am being obedient, and I wanted to definitely share my story to encourage and inspire you all. Jesus loves you. I love y'all too, and I will see you, gems and gents, in the next video.